16th century Venice. Behind the locked doors of a heavily guarded island, men are working in toxic, suffocating fumes. They are crafting the most expensive object in the world. But the price of this beauty is their sanity. The metal they are boiling releases a silent, invisible poison. First, their hands begin to tremble. Then comes the delirium. Within a few years, the craftsmen lose their minds entirely, laughing at things that aren't there, before dying a painful, forgotten death. They were making mirrors. Today, we look at them every morning without a second thought. We use them to brush our teeth, to check our hair, but for most of human history, a mirror was not just a piece of glass, it was dark magic. It was a symbol of ultimate power, and for many, it was a deadly weapon. To understand how we got from deadly poison to a piece of glass in every bathroom, we have to go back long before glass even existed. Nearly 8,000 years ago, in the region of modern-day Turkey, humans had no glass, but they had volcanoes. When volcanic lava cools rapidly, it forms a shiny black rock called obsidian. Ancient people realized that if they polished this black stone perfectly smooth, it reflected their faces. These were the world's first mirrors, but the reflection was dark, distorted, frightening. Because of this, mirrors weren't used for vanity. They were used by shamans and sorcerers to speak with the dead, to predict the future, and to trap evil spirits. In ancient Egypt, mirrors took a different form. They were made of highly polished copper or bronze, but these metal mirrors had a massive flaw. They rusted. Every few days, they had to be polished again, or the face in the reflection would slowly disappear into a cloud of green dust. For thousands of years, humanity looked at blurry, imperfect versions of themselves. That would all change when a group of glassmakers on a secret Italian island discovered a chemical that was worth more than gold. A chemical that would drive them mad and create an industry built on blood and poison. The year is 1291. The Venetian Republic forces all its glassmakers to move to a single, isolated island, Murano. They are moved here for two reasons. First, to protect the city from their constantly burning furnaces, and second, to keep their secrets locked away. For centuries, they perfect the art of glassmaking, but clear glass alone is not a mirror. Light passes right through it. To make a mirror, you need to trap the light. The Venetians discover the ultimate secret. They take a perfectly flat sheet of glass and lay down a sheet of tin foil over it. Then, they pour the magic ingredient, liquid mercury, a heavy silvery metal that flows like water. When the glass is pressed onto this toxic metallic sandwich, the light can no longer pass through. It bounces back. The reflection is flawless, brilliant, and deadly. Mercury releases a toxic vapor. The men who work with it every day breathe it in. The poison slowly destroys their nervous system. They suffered from what was later called Mad Hatter's disease, tremors, extreme irritability, and hallucinations. The beautiful mirrors they created were literally driving them insane. The Venetian government forbade the glassmakers from ever leaving the island. If they tried to escape and sell their secrets to rival kings, their families would be thrown into prison and they would be assassinated. For over a century, Venice held a total monopoly on the world's mirror trade. They charged astronomical prices. A single large mirror could cost more than a painting by a master artist, but the secrets of poison and glass cannot stay locked away forever. The French king, Louis XIV, was tired of paying Venice. He wanted the mirrors for his own palace, and he sent his spymaster to steal the secret by any means necessary. The French spymaster, Nicolas Dunoyer, receives his orders. He travels to Venice disguised as a merchant. His mission, to bribe the best mirror makers on the island of Murano. Money talks. Despite the threat of assassination, several craftsmen accept the bribe. In the dead of night, they are smuggled into wooden crates and loaded onto a French ship. When the Venetian government discovers the betrayal, they are furious. They send assassins to hunt down the traitors. But it is too late. The secret is out. The French establish their own mirror factory. The craft is heavily guarded, but without the Venetian secrets of glassmaking, the French mirrors are flawed. They warp and distort the reflection. But King Louis XIV doesn't care. He wants to show off his power. He builds the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles, filling it with hundreds of these expensive, imperfect glass panels. For the next 200 years, the dangerous mercury technique remains the standard. The workers continue to go mad. The poison is simply the price of beauty. Then, in 1835, a German chemist named Justus von Liebig changes everything. He writes a formula that would eliminate the madness forever. Liebig discovers that if you spray a chemical solution of silver nitrate onto glass, the silver sticks to the surface. When it dries, it forms a perfect, brilliant, flawless, reflective layer. No heat, no poison, no madness. The silvering process is cheap, fast, and completely safe. The age of the deadly Venetian mirror is over. Suddenly, mirrors were no longer just for kings and queens. Mass production made them cheap. For the first time in human history, ordinary people could see exactly what they looked like every single morning. With the silvering process perfected, the Industrial Revolution took over. Machines began blowing glass and spraying silver at incredible speeds. The cost of a mirror dropped by 90%. What was once a treasure for kings was now packed into wooden crates and shipped to ordinary shops. But this sudden availability of mirrors caused a psychological shift. For thousands of years, people only saw blurry versions of their faces in water or dirty metal. Now, they saw every pore, every wrinkle, every flaw. For the first time in history, humanity became obsessed with personal appearance. Vanity became a part of daily life. This obsession birthed new industries. Cosmetics, skincare, and modern fashion exploded, all driven by the human desire to fix what they now saw in the glass. But mirrors didn't just change how we saw ourselves, they changed how we saw the universe. In the early 20th century, scientists realized that curved mirrors could look into the stars. The Hubble Space Telescope, launched in 1990, used a massive mirror to capture light from billions of years ago. It allowed us to look back in time, to the very birth of the universe. Even today, the largest telescope ever built by humanity, the James Webb Space Telescope, is essentially a giant gold-coated mirror. From the shamans looking into black volcanic stone, to the madmen boiling mercury in Venice, to a giant gold eye floating in space, the mirror is no longer just an object. It is a tool that reflects not only our faces, but our history, our vanity, our madness, and our endless desire to understand the world around us. But as mirrors reached for the stars, they also descended into the trenches. During World War I, mirrors became a matter of life and death. The technology of reflection also gave birth to the one-way mirror. By coating glass with a very thin, almost invisible layer of silver, it could act as a window in a bright room and a mirror in a dark one. Not all mirrors were used for truth. Amusement parks used curved mirrors to distort reality, creating funhouses that baffled the human brain. Today, the mirror is evolving again. It is becoming digital. Smart mirrors can display the weather, the news, and track your health, hiding a screen behind a two-way glass. We have spent 8,000 years trying to capture our own reflection. From dark volcanic rocks to toxic mercury, from silver-backed glass to digital screens. But perhaps the most powerful mirror is not made of glass or stone. It is the one we create in our minds, reflecting who we were, who we are, and who we hope to become. The history of the mirror is ultimately the history